Ladies and gentlemen, today we gather to speak of a mystery and a truth, one that is echoed across the generations. Why a chosen woman always walks alone. It is not by accident, it is by design. The chosen woman is not isolated because she is forgotten. No, she walks alone because she is called to a higher path, one that few understand and even fewer are willing to walk. When a woman is chosen by a higher calling, separation becomes her immediate reality. It is not the separation she chooses, it is the separation that chooses her. From the earliest moments of her purpose awakening, she begins to sense an invisible line drawn between her and the rest of the world. Friends who once felt close now seem distant. Conversations that once thrilled her now fall flat. Activities she once enjoyed feel strangely hollow. This is not sectional preparation in the king's palace because she has been set apart for cold. It is because she has been set apart for something sacred. The mark of a calling is often a quiet removal from the ordinary so that the extraordinary can be formed within. Throughout history, every person called for something greater had to first endure seasons of separation. Consider the examples set before us. Before Esther could stand before the king and save a nation, she endured the long hidden preparation in the king's palace. Before Deborah could rise as a judge and leader of Israel, she sat under the palm tree, separated in counsel and wisdom from the masses who wandered in confusion. Separation is not punishment, it is positioning. It places the chosen woman into a posture where she can hear the voice of God more clearly and receive the instructions that others would never understand. Many misunderstand this season. They think loneliness is a sign of rejection, when in fact it is evidence of selection. God removes certain relationships, opportunities, and comforts not to harm the chosen woman, but to shield her from influences that would dilute her calling. There are seasons when the noise of the crowd must be silenced so that the whisper of heaven can grow louder in her soul. In these moments of sacred solitude, the chosen woman learns things that could never be taught in the marketplace or the banquet hall. Wisdom, discernment, strength. These are forged in the quiet places where no one is watching. Separation also acts as a test of character. When a woman can walk alone and still remain faithful, still remain pure in motive, still press forward without applause or recognition, she proved herself ready to carry the weight of her assignment. If she needed constant validation, she would be unfit for the journey ahead. The woman who walks alone learns to find her identity, not in public opinion, but in the unchanging truth of her Creator. Her feet are trained to walk paths that few would dare tread. Not because she is stronger than others, but because she is anchored in something deeper than approval. This process of separation is painful. There are tears that fall in the night when no one sees. There are questions that rise like storms within her heart. There are moments of aching silence where the path seems unclear. But even in the pain, the hand of purpose is at work. Every layer stripped away is making room for something greater. Every comfort removed is pushing her to trust more fully. Every goodbye that stings her heart is ultimately leading her closer to the destiny written over her life before she was ever born. Purpose is never light. It is a burden placed upon the shoulders of those chosen to carry something greater than themselves. When a woman is called to a divine purpose, she quickly realizes that the weight she bears separates her from those who walk lightly through life. This weight is not something that can be shared easily. It demands solitude, not because she desires to be alone, but because the assignment requires a focus, a discipline, and a strength that can only be forged in private places. When a chosen woman begins to carry her purpose, she notices that the demands on her life are different. While others may enjoy seasons of ease and carefree living, she feels the constant pull of something higher. She cannot give her time to every gathering, her energy to every conversation, or her heart to every opportunity. There's a seriousness to her steps, a deliberateness to her decisions, because she knows that the mission placed within her demands her full attention. In the quiet chambers of her solitude, she wrestles with the enormity of what has been entrusted to her. There, without the distractions of the crowd, she learns to carry the weight with dignity and perseverance. Solitude becomes a necessity, not a preference. Crowded rooms and noisy opinions can suffocate the clarity she needs to steward her calling. Every great work requires concentration, and concentration cannot survive in the chaos of constant company. She understands that to give birth to her purpose, she must withdraw from the clamor and retreat into places where her heart and mind can be sharpened. The chosen woman accepts seasons of hiddenness not as seasons of punishment, but as seasons of preparation. In that sacred isolation, she studies, she prays, she plans, and she listens. There are dimensions of her calling that no one else can fully comprehend. Advisors, friends, and family can encourage her, but they cannot carry the assignment for her. Only she has been given the vision. Only she has been entrusted with the responsibility. As a result, solitude becomes a classroom where she is taught lessons in patience, in resilience, in unwavering faith. In the absence of an audience, her character is refined. In the absence of applause, her motives are purified. The weight she carries demands that she find her strength in places beyond human approval and beyond the fleeting affirmations of the world. This journey often feels heavier than expected. At times, she may wish for someone to shoulder the burden with her, to ease the intensity of the path she walks. But the chosen woman knows that shortcuts and compromises would only cheapen the assignment. Solitude teaches her to bear the full weight with honor. It teaches her to build endurance for the battles ahead. It teaches her to listen to the still, small voice that guides her when no one else can. In her solitude, the chosen woman discovers that the weight of her purpose was never meant to crush her, but to carve her into the vessel strong enough to fulfill it. When a chosen woman receives a vision for her life, it is often a vision that others cannot comprehend. It is not because she is better than others or because she seeks to elevate herself. It is because the assignment entrusted to her is uniquely tailored by the hands of the one who called her. The vision placed within her heart is a glimpse of what is to come, a future reality that has not yet been revealed to the eyes of those around her. Because others cannot see what she sees, they often cannot understand the choices she makes, the sacrifices she embraces, or the road she refuses to travel. Vision isolates because vision elevates. It lifts the eyes of the chosen woman above the common distractions of life and fixes her focus on something more enduring. But while her eyes are fixed ahead, many around her are still consumed by what is immediate and easy. Conversations that once felt familiar begin to feel foreign. The topics that once drew her interest now seem shallow compared to the depth of what she carries within. Those who once walked closely with her may start to question her path. They may doubt her decisions. They may even criticize the passion that drives her forward. Not everyone is meant to understand the vision because not everyone was designed to carry it. The chosen woman learns that clarity of purpose often demands the courage to be misunderstood. She realizes that explaining herself to every doubter will only drain the energy needed to fulfill her calling. There are moments when she must choose silence over defense, trust over explanation, perseverance over approval. The vision she holds is precious, and it must be guarded from the careless words and doubting spirits of those who do not recognize its value. At times, the misunderstanding feels like rejection. The chosen woman may find herself questioning whether she heard correctly, wondering if she should conform to the expectations of others to avoid conflict. But in these moments, she must remember that validation from the crowd is not the proof of calling. The proof lies in the persistence of the vision, the fire that refuses to be extinguished, even when it is ridiculed, ignored, or dismissed. Every true vision will face seasons of loneliness, seasons where the carrier walks forward without applause, trusting the invisible over the visible. The inability of others to understand the vision is often a protective measure. It shields the chosen woman from premature exposure and from voices that might weaken her resolve. In the hidden place, she learns to distinguish between the voice of truth and the noise of the world. She learns to walk by faith and not by sight, trusting that the one who planted the vision will also bring it to pass. Misunderstanding becomes part of her training, sharpening her focus, strengthening her resolve, and teaching her to place her hope not in the acceptance of men, but in the assurance of her calling. Loneliness is often viewed as something to be avoided, a condition that signals something has gone wrong. But for the chosen woman, loneliness becomes a divine tool, a sacred instrument in the hands of her Creator. It is not a loneliness born from rejection, but a loneliness born from selection. In the quiet emptiness where human voices fade, the chosen woman is drawn into a deeper, more intimate reliance on the one who called her. The absence of others is not a curse, but an invitation, calling her to discover that her greatest source of strength, wisdom, and comfort cannot be found in human relationships, but must be found in the divine. In seasons of loneliness, she discovers truths that would otherwise remain hidden. When the encouragement of friends is absent and the reassurance of family is out of reach, she finds herself turning her face toward heaven. In that place of sacred isolation, she learns to hear the still, small voice that the noise of the world had previously drowned out. Her dependence on human affirmation gives way to a deeper dependence on divine confirmation. She comes to know that the promises spoken over her life are more certain than the shifting opinions of man. This kind of dependence is not learned in crowds. It cannot be taught in the busy intersections of life. It is birthed in the long nights of solitude, in the moments when prayers feel unanswered, and when hope seems distant. In that valley, the chosen woman learns that she is never truly alone. She learns that the presence of the Almighty is not a theological concept, but a living, breathing reality. She finds that the companionship of God is sweeter than the approval of 1,000 voices. She begins to walk not by sight, not by human reassurance, but by a deep inner knowing that she is held, guided, and loved by a power far greater than herself. Loneliness strips away the illusions of self-sufficiency. It removes the crutches that once seemed necessary for survival. The chosen woman realizes that strength does not come from her own ability to control circumstances, but from her willingness to surrender to the one who controls all things. She learns to pray not from a place of ritual, but from a place of desperate need. Her prayers become the lifeline between her aching heart and the heart of God. In that secret place, her dependence grows roots deep and unshakable. Through loneliness, the chosen woman also gains clarity. Without the constant chatter of competing voices, she can discern the whispers of direction meant only for her. She can separate the urgent from the important, the temporary from the eternal. Her steps become guided not by fear or pressure, but by a quiet, steady trust in the one who leads her. What once felt like abandonment becomes the place where she is equipped, strengthened, and prepared for the greater tasks ahead. In the silence of her solitude, she becomes fluent in the language of heaven, learning to trust not what she sees, but what she believes. The journey toward destiny is not a journey toward popularity. The chosen woman quickly learns that being set apart for a great purpose often means walking a path that is misunderstood, unpopular, and even criticized. The call on her life demands distinction, not blending in. It demands that she look different, sound different, and live differently from those who chase the fleeting applause of the world. Popularity seeks the approval of many. Destiny seeks the approval of one. There is a cost to carrying something eternal, and that cost is often paid in the currency of being distinct rather than accepted. Distinction means she cannot always say what others say or do what others do. It means she must make choices that set her apart, sometimes painfully so. While others may pursue comfort, convenience, and crowd-pleasing pursuits, she is required to pursue righteousness, purpose, and obedience. And sees. Her decisions are guided not by the shifting winds of cultural opinion, but by the steady compass of truth. Popularity may glitter and promise immediate satisfaction, but it fades quickly. Destiny, though it often feels heavy and slow, carries eternal weight and significance. The chosen woman understands that her goal is not to fit in, but to stand firm. In every generation, those who fulfilled great destinies were those who refused to be swayed by the tides of popular thought. And I'll build an ark while the world mocked him. Esther stood before a king when it was dangerous to even approach the throne. Mary carried the Christ child in a culture that could have condemned her. Their lives were marked not by the number of people who celebrated them, but by their unwavering commitment to the mission entrusted to them. The chosen. Woman walks in their footsteps, knowing that her worth is not measured by how many cheer for her, but by how faithfully she walks the path laid before her. There is a loneliness to distinction, but there is also a glory in it. When a woman embraces the call to be distinct, she steps into the fullness of who she was created to be. She no longer seeks permission to pursue her calling. She no longer waters down her voice to be more palatable. She no longer molds herself to fit into spaces she was never meant to occupy. She stands boldly, knowing that destiny is forged, not in the crowd's embrace, but often in their absence. Her identity is rooted in something far deeper than popularity. It is anchored in purpose. Popularity often demands compromise, but destiny demands conviction. A chosen woman cannot afford to trade her integrity for acceptance. She cannot afford to chase trends at the expense of timeless truths. She cannot dilute her assignment to gain temporary favor. Each step she takes toward her destiny may require her to walk further away from the crowd, but each step also takes her closer to the fulfillment of what was written over her life long before she took her first breath. Distinction becomes her banner, her mantle, and her shield.